Hello, welcome to Discuss with Ibrahim Fatimbo. It's a YouTube channel where you learn, you relearn, and you unlearn, focusing on more capacity development and how we can be a better person. This episode of Discuss with Ibrahim Fatimbo is focused on critical thinking review for communication student, and I'm sure you also can learn one or two from today's episode. Let's talk about critical thinking and review. When we talk about critical thinking, is what is not really common, and that's where you hear that common sense is not common. And for this particular episode, let's talk about critical thinking and what's the definition of critical thinking. Critical thinking is said to be an objective analysis and evaluation. Objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment. So how can you be objective? And sometimes it is said that objectivity too can be subjective at some point. So critical thinking is for you to be unbiased about particular issue and give your honest feedback and perception about that thing. And not only your perception, what is, reality is relative, right? And for you to be that person that want to critique work of art, you want to critique movies, you want to critique songs, musical videos, books, work of artists, you must be a critical thinker, meaning that you must disabuse your mind from any biases. So now, for this particular course, I would like us to talk about some of this skill that here, so like critical thinking shares the following skill with critical writing. And when you talk about critical thinking, it's within you. And when you can think critically, you can write critically too. All right. So now let's talk about some of those key things that one of the scholar, Cottrell and Atten, gave us in one of our texts that I shared in our class. He said they share similarities, and number one is they analyze, synthesis, interpretation, evaluation, inference, explanation, and self-regulatory. So, or regulation, I beg your pardon. So when you talk about analysis, examine the materials by breaking into. So the first thing when you want to do a critical analysis or write-up about a work of art, the first stage is for you to look at things, you analyze it. And that's one of the skill of a critical writer, must have this analytical mind and examine the materials by breaking it into its component part to better understand the parts and the whole. So you identify the classification, categorization, and comparing. That is, examine how the key component fits together. So the first thing is that let's look at a book, for example, or even a movie. You see how everything, different scene, how do they synchronize together? You divide it. If it's a movie, if it's a book, you can know, is this a fiction or non-fiction? Before you can start your analysis, you must be able to place it to say this is where it belongs. Another thing in synthesis is to weave together material from several sources, including your personal prior knowledge, to create a new whole, making connection between the parts and the whole, to see the pattern of relationship. So now, here, our experience plays a whole lot of roles when it comes to critical thinking and critical writing. And the similarities is what we are looking at now. So the synthesis is another similarities that both critical thinking and critical writing shares together. So what is synthesis here? Your experience, you put it to fore with every other things you've gotten. In research, we have a primary research. That means you go to the field to go and get the secondary research, talking about consulting the internet, consulting the library, right? So synthesis is talking about you putting everything, organizing, connecting, designing, and predicting. That is, bring together different sources of information to serve as argument or idea you are constructing. Before you can say this doesn't meet the standard or this movie is not good, you must be able to make reference. Like I've always said, you want to review at this stage as a student. You've not checked what happened with all these AMVCA, this big, I've forgotten the musical award, BET, What are how do they categorize those songs? Why would they say this is the best next rated eddies and everything? You must be able to analyze and get a clear understanding of that. That's first one, analysis, synthesis. The other one now is interpretation. So this entails examining the connection between the parts and the whole to make inference. That means inference to make, like, okay, it has happened here, so far it has happened here, it can happen here, right? So you make inference from every other sources. So between the parts and the whole to make inference about the implication and the meaning of the patterns, associating, inferring, decoding, that is comprehending and expressing meaning or significance of wide varieties of experience, situation, data, event, and judgment. Because before you can say certain thing is primitive, it's not good, is this, you will have seen, check back, make research, find out who has done it before, how has it been, right? So afterward, we talk about evaluation. So this means forming judgment about meaning, qualities, and value. So you must be able to evaluate. And when we talk about evaluation, we said that it's objective analysis of a particular thing. So you justify, critiquing, verifying, and deciding. And please know that there is difference between critique and criticizing. Criticizing is more of negativity, while critiquing is following the standard of judgment to say this thing meets or fits the standard. All right. So furthermore, we have here that is, you see, you are assessing the credibility of statement or other representation which are account of description of a person's perception, experience, situation, judgment, belief, or opinion as well. Evaluation relates to assessing the logical strength of the actual or intended inferential relationship. So you must, even when you read a book, there must be a nexus, there must be a connection to see that there is a flow, chronological flow that is logical, so that it makes sense to the reader. That is how you can assess a particular book. That is how you can evaluate a particular movie to say, oh, this is fantastic. What is the transition? So you make inference and you do proper evaluation. So explanation here, you state the result of your reasoning. So from there, you now conclude to say, okay, from everything you have gathered, this is your conclusion. And the last one is self-regulation. This means consciously applying skill in analysis and evaluation of your own inferential judgment. No matter what you have done, you must subject even your own evaluation to evaluation. Your own personal evaluation, you must subject it to evaluation, so that you check it out. Hope you've not put your own personal opinion there while you are following this standard. Another aspect I want us to pay attention to is the theories of criticism. Theories of criticism. We have two theories of criticism. We have authoritarian theory and we have impressionistic theory. So the authoritarian theory, as its name implies, critic believes that there exists fixed standard. This critic believes that before, if you want to say that this is a standard movie, there are rules that guides it, and those rules must be adhered to. When those rules are not adhered to, that means they are substandard. So the authoritarian critics or criticism theory focuses on the standard, and this is how it is, and so shall it be like that. They are not willing to compromise anything. Let me further elucidate more. He or she uses the standard and insists that all works of art must conform to this standard, and any deviation from this standard is condemned. That means you must follow the standard. There's no room for flexibility or credibility or creativity. So let's talk about impressionistic theory. Impressionistic theory critics has no rules. He or she likewise has no standard. The impressionistic critics, who follows Anatole France, says this, who narrates the adventure of his soul among masterpieces. This means that the impressionistic critic has no respect to fixed standard. It's the opposite of authoritarian criticism. They don't have fixed standard. It's flexible, because there are ways movies were done years back. There are ways movies are being shot this way. There are ways books were written centuries back. There are ways so the criticism belief, the authoritarian belief that this is the standard, it has to be like this. But impressionistic belief that is flexible, there is room for creativity and for you to do something differently. So that is about the criticism there. And another area that I want us to pay attention to is how do we do proper review. When you want to review, this was given as an assignment, how do you review movies, right? And number one thing you watch out for when you are reviewing movies is, number one, the storyline. You watch out, I have given you all this, you watch out for the storyline, the characters, characterization. Characters are those people that feature there. Characterization is talking about the roles they play. Acting, how were they able to interpret the script successfully. Directing, how was the director, how was he able to synchronize all this role and bring out the best in those actors. The screenplay, examine the dialogue, the pacing. Were they too fast? You need to watch out for all those things. Cinematography, you watch out for the quality of how they shot the movie. One of the movie we used was Jagun Jagun, and you can attest to the fact that from the assignment you did, it was a fantastic cinematography. The kind of effect that was used there is applaudable. So these are things that you must put into consideration when you are reviewing a particular movie. But when it comes to musical video, you worked out for the artistic vision and concept. Anybody, if your background will always depict the kind of movies or any song that you have. You look at visual artistics, and we give you the song by Johnny Drill, what's his name too? Kiss Daniel. All those movies will serve as a case study. That's a movie. Musical videos will serve as a case study that will help, and you should prepare and understand special effect and animation that was used there. You pay attention to that and read up on the photography. You watch out for the color, the focus. I told you to watch out for the Sadiq Adelakun photography. And you should learn how to review a motivational book, clarity of message, and all. Because of time, let me tell you areas to focus on. So let's talk about areas that you just have to go and focus on now while you are preparing for your exam. For your exam, you must understand what it says about the critical thinking and writing. The similarities he mentioned, those analysis, synthetics, you must pay attention to them. Pay attention to the theory of criticism too. Pay attention to workshop, material, forms, moral approach, the tone, criticism. Also consider the steps, how you review books, how you review movie. You must know audio step for movie, all right? You must know audio step for musical video. You must understand the concept of critical thinking. You must know the difference between critical writing and other forms of writing. What is the difference between critical writing and feature writing, critical writing and editorial? You must know those differences. Once again, for your examination, pay attention, keen attention to the following areas. Pay attention to the critical thinking and critical writing. What similarities they share, the synthetics, evaluation, pay attention to that. Focus on your criticism, workshop, and how you review a movie, musical videos, photography, and all. I think at this juncture, you are good to go for your exam. I wish you all the best in your examination. Please endeavor to submit your assignment. Please subscribe to Discuss with Ibrahim Fatimbo. You'll get more content that is more entertaining and educative. Bye-bye.